I'm Samantha Enslen. I run Dragonfly Editorial, which is an agency that provides writing and editing to all kinds of companies around the country, and I am currently Vice President of ACES.
So my name is Romina Marazatos-Parano. I'm a translator and editor. I have worked in localization for a number of years, taught at the Monterey Institute, and I have been dedicated to plain language in the last few years and to build clarity with style in text.
So when we're talking about readability, we're generally talking about the readability of informational communications. So that might be content that's on a website, it might be on a subway poster, it might be on a brochure. And the point is you're trying to reach a mass audience. You have no idea who your readers are going to be. It could be a 15-year-old kid on the subway. It could be a mom walking into a doctor or dentist's office. So you want to create content that's as easy to read and as accessible as possible for the most people possible. Why it's important? That's a no-brainer, because everybody's on their cell phone all the time. We're so distracted by our social media, by the texts we're getting, by the emails we're getting, by the flashing lights of the traffic. It's really hard to keep people's attention and get a message across to them clearly. And that's why doing what we can to create highly readable text is so important. So believe it or not, there's actually an ISO standard that's being developed for plain language, which is tied to the concept of readability. And what that standard is trying to define is content whereby the language, the layout, and the design of the material are so clear that just about any reader can easily understand the content, they can find what they need, and they can act on that content. That's what constitutes readable language. Okay, so the Fleisch-Kincaid scale is one way of measuring readability. It doesn't look at design or layout of text, it just looks at the words themselves. And what it does is run an algorithm across a whole body of text, and it measures really two things: the length of words and the length of sentences. And what that Fleisch-Kincaid scale measures is the shorter the words and the shorter the sentences, the better grade level readability scale you're going to get. So if you're writing 40, 60, 70 word sentences, you're going to get a poor Fleisch-Kincaid readability scale. Whereas if you're writing short, compact sentences, if what you're saying is to the point and you're not wasting a lot of words or using unnecessarily complex or fussy words, you're going to get a better Fleisch-Kincaid score. You can use the Fleisch-Kincaid scale to really measure the readability of any document. Believe it or not, it is embedded in Microsoft Word. There's something under settings that's called readability statistics. Once you turn that on, every time you run spell check in Word, the statistics for the Fleisch-Kincaid scale, Fleisch readability score, and the number of words per sentence, all of those statistics are going to pop right up on the screen for you. So what you can do is run a baseline measurement on any kind of text you're working on, edit it for readability, and then measure it again and see how you're improving that grade level readability score.
But I passionately believe that we need to go beyond readability formulas and look deeper into the text to really create clarity with style, writing with grace and understanding. And readability formulas tend to be, because they're very easy to use, they tend to be overstated as a tool to create clarity. So I want to bring another dimension into how to write with clarity and style. So readability formulas will help you assess how easy a piece of text is to read in terms of the length of the sentences and the length of the words. But it will tell you nothing about the coherence, the cohesion of the text, the structure whether the structure that you chose is suitable for the purpose or the audience, and it will not assess the design elements in text, graphics, data visualization, tables, etc. And one last item in terms of readability, you can get tremendous readability scores with completely garbage text because of how the sentences and fragments are built. If they're short, they have short words. it will score great, and it could be something that's completely incoherent.
So the history of the scale is kind of interesting. It was developed in the 1960s by two researchers, Rudolf Fleisch and Peter Kincaid, and they were actually hired by the US Navy, who wanted to analyze the manuals that they give to young soldiers to figure out if these guys and young girls could actually understand the material that they were giving them. So they hired Fleisch and Kincaid to develop a readability metric that they could use for their manuals, and it's continued to be used for all kinds of different documentation all the way up to today. One misunderstanding or misapprehension people have about editing for grade level readability is they think it's going to dumb down their content or make it sound really stupid and basic, like a Dick and Jane type book. But you can actually create very sophisticated, beautiful content that's written even at a 5th or 6th grade readability level. For example, Pride and Prejudice is written at a 5th grade level. The Harry Potter books are written from a 5th to 7th grade level readability. So even though it's written for a 5th grader, it doesn't sound like a 5th grader talking. I want to read you one of my favorite passages that illustrates this point. So this is from a newspaper story about a Duke game a few years ago when Kevin Ware, one of the players, was really severely injured on the court. So this is what the reporter writes. As medical personnel swarmed Ware in front of the Cardinals bench, his teammates fell to the ground horrified. What exactly had happened? Replays on CBS confirmed a terrible injury. A cold hush covered Lucas Oil Stadium.